Y'all ever heard the one about the burglar who was so bad at his job? He tried to break into a revolving door. Bless his heart, he must have thought it was a free ride. We're going to talk about keeping your home and your loved ones safe from those unwelcome visitors. So stick around, because this here's important stuff. I'm not one to sugarcoat things, so let's get real for a minute. Leaving your house empty, even for a little bit, can be risky business. It's the violation of your privacy, the shattering of your peace of mind, the fear that lingers long after the last siren fades away. You might be thinking, JR, it ain't gonna happen to me. I live in a safe neighborhood. But burglars, they don't discriminate. Sometimes it's the small stuff that goes missing first. That's why it's crucial to treat your home security like you treat your sweet tea recipe. Guard it close, and don't go sharing it with just anybody. I know what some of y'all are thinking. JR, it's just stuff. It can be replaced. Some things, they hold sentimental value. That old watch your grandpappy gave you, the handmade quilt passed down through generations. It's about the feeling of security, the sanctity of your home being violated. That's something that can take a long time to rebuild, if it ever truly heals. And that, my friends, is something worth protecting at all costs. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sometimes it ain't just about the things they take. Sometimes the most terrifying encounter with a burglar ain't about the stuff at all. It's about coming face to face with someone who ain't supposed to be there. And that, my friends, is a whole different ballgame. Sometimes numbers tell a story that needs to be heard. Did you know that a home burglary happens every 25 seconds in this country? It happens in small towns, rural areas, and even gated communities. Every year, millions of homes are burglarized, resulting in billions of dollars in stolen goods and property damage. We've talked about the emotional toll of a home invasion, the fear, the anxiety, but let's not forget about the financial burden either. The average burglary, it costs homeowners thousands of dollars. And that's not counting the cost of repairing a busted door, a broken window. The real price of insecurity, it can't be measured in dollars and cents. Have you ever had something stolen from you? Something that wasn't just stuff, but held a special meaning? It ain't just about the stuff they take, it's about the feeling of violation. It's the knowledge that someone else has been in your space, touching your things. The true value of your home lies in the feeling of peace, security, and belonging that it provides. I know what you're thinking. JR, you're gonna tell me to lock my doors, ain't you? And you be right. Make it a habit to double check those doors and windows, especially when you're heading out or turning in for the night. Invest in some good sturdy deadbolts, the kind that'd make a burglar think twice about even trying. Now burglars, they ain't rocket scientists, but they ain't dumb neither. Keep your shrubs trimmed, your lawn mowed, and your newspapers picked up. Be mindful of what you share on social media. Hang in there, we're getting to the good stuff. The things that'll make those would-be intruders think twice. First up, let there be light. A well-lit home is a deterrent to criminals. Install motion sensor lights around your property. Next, invest in a good security system with cameras, sensors, and a loud siren. All this technology is fine and dandy, but there's nothing quite like the watchful eye of a good neighbor. Organize a neighborhood watch program, exchange phone numbers, and look out for each other. A strong sense of community can be just as effective as any high-tech gadget. We've talked a lot about what you can do inside your home to deter those pesky intruders. But let's not forget about the great outdoors, specifically your neighborhood. A well-lit, well-maintained neighborhood is a safer neighborhood, plain and simple. It's like having a big keep out sign that even the most determined burglar would have trouble ignoring. I know what you're thinking. JR, you're gonna tell me to blend in, right? Don't make my house stand out. You see, burglars, they love a good stereotype. But here's the catch. You also don't want to be the most vulnerable house on the block. It's all about finding that balance, folks. Blending in enough that you don't scream, "Come rob me," but standing out enough that you're not the easiest target on the block. For those of you city slickers living that high-rise life, you might think you're immune to these pesky burglars. While it's true that ground floor apartments and houses are more vulnerable, those high-rise apartments ain't exactly Fort Knox. Keep those doors locked, be mindful of who you let in, and don't leave valuables lying around. For those of you lucky enough to call the countryside home, you might think you've got it made in the shade when it comes to security. After all, ain't nobody gonna drive miles down a dirt road just to case your place, right? Well, that might be true in some cases, but don't be fooled by the peace and quiet, folks. Rural areas, while generally safe, can be vulnerable to a different breed of burglar, those looking for isolated targets with less chance of getting caught. They know that response times for law enforcement might be slower and neighbors might be few and far between. So even if you're living that off-the-grid dream, don't neglect your security. Invest in a good alarm system. Consider getting a dog. Man's best friend is also a burglar's worst nightmare. And stay connected with your neighbors even if they're a holler away. Remember, folks, it's better to be safe than sorry, no matter where you hang your hat. Guys, we're going to talk about something nobody wants to think about, but it's important to be prepared. Imagine this. You come home, unlock your door, and something is not right. Your heart starts pounding, and your breath gets caught in your throat. You've just stumbled upon every homeowner's worst nightmare, an intruder. In that heart-stopping moment, your mind's gonna race. Adrenaline's pumping, and it's hard to think straight. The calmer and clearer you can think, the better your chances of getting out safe. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Your safety is the top priority. Leave it to the professionals. Flight is always the better option than fight. Get yourself and anyone else to safety. You don't know who you're dealing with. Your life ain't worth any material possession. Leave the house through the safest exit. This might be a back door, a window, or a fire escape. Call the authorities immediately. Give them your address and details about the intruder. Try to remember any details about the intruder. This information can be incredibly helpful. Don't go back inside the house. Your safety is worth more than any possession. Let the police handle it from here. They're trained to deal with these situations. Even after the police have come and gone and the initial shock has worn off, the emotional aftershocks can linger. You might feel vulnerable and anxious. That's perfectly normal. Trauma does that to a person. Reach out for support, whether from loved ones or a therapist. Talk about your experience and allow yourself time to heal. Take stock of the situation. Check for missing items, document damage, and file a police report. It's important for insurance purposes and holding the perpetrator accountable. Healing takes time. Be kind to yourself, lean on your support system, and seek professional help if needed. Focus on rebuilding your sense of security. Upgrade your home security system and consider a neighborhood watch program. Remember those numbers I mentioned earlier? The ones about home break-ins? They don't have to define your story. Use fear as fuel to secure your home. Remember those tips? Lock up tight, outsmart opportunists. Now's the time to put them into practice. True security comes from community. Get to know your neighbors, start a watch, stay safe, stay vigilant. Prevention goes a long way. Y'all have been real patient sticking with me through all this talk of locks, lights, and nosy neighbors. And I promised you a big reveal, a golden nugget of wisdom to keep those pesky burglars at bay. Well, here it is, plain and simple. The best way to protect your home is to know what you're protecting it from. You see, knowledge is power, folks. And when it comes to home security, understanding the mind of a burglar is half the battle. They say to catch a thief, you gotta think like a thief, right? I'm not saying you need to go crawling through vents or picking locks. But taking the time to learn about common burglary tactics, target preferences, and even the psychology behind these crimes can give you a real advantage. It's like playing checkers, folks. If you know your opponent's next move, you're way more likely to win the game. And in this case, winning means keeping your home and your loved ones safe and sound. Remember, folks, home security ain't about living in fear. It's about finding peace of mind. It's about knowing you've taken every reasonable precaution to protect what matters most: your loved ones, your belongings, and that sacred space you call home. It's about sleeping soundly at night without worrying about every creak and groan of the house. It's about enjoying that vacation, knowing your home is safe and sound in your absence. It's about creating an environment where you and your loved ones can truly relax, unwind, and simply be yourselves, without the shadow of fear hanging over your heads. And that, my friends, is a feeling worth more than any fancy security system or high-tech gadget. It's the feeling of comfort, security, and belonging that makes a house a home. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for today. We've covered a whole heap of ground, from the basics of locking up tight to the importance of community and the power of knowing your enemy. And I hope you've learned a thing or two about keeping your home and your loved ones safe from those pesky intruders. Remember, a little bit of prevention goes a long, long way. So be vigilant, be prepared, and most importantly, be kind to yourselves and each other, because at the end of the day, the best security system you can have is a strong community looking out for one another. Don't forget to check out our survival food at www.survivalcavefood.com. I even put a discount code in the comments section. Now go on and put these tips to good use. And until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, JR's got your back.